Today is a good day to be a New World player. I wanted to make a video earlier on the teasers they put up on the Twitter, but I guess it's going to be a 2-in-1 video now. So first, let's just look at the Twitter, and then we're going to take a look at the news that came out today. Here's what they posted yesterday. It's just a bunch of teasers. There's a few pictures, and it was titled March Spoilers without any context. And yeah, let's just look into it. So in this one, we could see Isabella doing God knows what in this picture, but this is basically an indicator that the new expedition is coming out. And now we know that the dungeon is called Tempest's Heart. Next, we go to this gentleman holding something blurred. You know, in first glance, I thought this was something absurd, if you know what I mean. But it's quite obvious that this is the blunderbuss, and we've known that this is coming this month. Lastly, we have this very interesting photo of all the faction members in the Spider-Man meme. This hasn't been confirmed in any way, and if it hasn't been announced, I'm assuming this is something pretty big for the PvP players. Maybe they're working on revealing it in a specific way to generate more excitement. I don't know. But I'm guessing that this is either a 3v3 mode or it's a game mode where all three factions fight and the last faction standing wins. Either way, this sounds pretty cool. It is worth mentioning that some guy on Twitter commented on this post saying that, predicting that this is a 3v3 game mode, and they replied with something interesting. Although I can't really find it anymore, but you're gonna have to take my word on it because I'm not going through all these comments. They pretty much hinted on something like, that's an interesting thought. That kind of leads me to think that this is a 3v3 mode, although it could still be just them teasing us, but we never know. There are also some people saying that they're taking all the factions away and companies are just going to fight for the regions, and I really hope that's not true. I know that a lot of people have been suggesting this for some reason. I think it's a good idea, but I really hope they don't give into that pressure, just because it sounds like it's going to be a mess if that's the case. Even if they were going to make a change like that, they wouldn't just do it willy-nilly. They would actually have to put some work in it because it's a whole new mechanic, so I really doubt that's the case. So moving on to the news that we got this morning, which I will be putting the link downstairs in the description, but it is on their official website as well as all their socials. Before we start, can we just appreciate these photos? I mean, they look really cool. In this photo we could see they're, I think, in Mirkgard, and it's pretty cool. There's an eclipse, and I'm assuming this is actually an area in the actual expedition, so it looks pretty cool. There's another photo of, I believe that's Isabella with wings. This actually looks like the final boss, so very interesting and very exciting. And finally, we have here is the picture of the blunderbuss. We already knew what it was going to look like, but it's pretty cool, and we're going to get into more detail with that one. So starting from the top, they said that the PTR is going to release soon, and pretty much that they wanted to kind of get us excited for this. First thing is the expedition, which is going to be called the Tempest's Heart, and it's going to be in Mirkgard. So this update will include story of Isabella. So it says here that the Tempest's Heart is an endgame expedition for 5 players with a recommended level of 60 and a gear score of 550 and above. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there was a gear score limit for Lazarus and Genesis, except for obviously the mutations. You're pretty much at expertise 500 on level 60, and this is pretty much the halfway point. So from what I'm saying is this is pretty much something that endgame players look forward to after fresh 60s, and it's not like you could just jump into it straight away, which is honestly a good thing because they're kind of trying to force us to pace ourselves, not in a bad way. It's a way for us to work on the other dungeons until we get to 550, and then we could get excited for this. They're pretty much making sure that new players don't self-sabotage themselves. So the next topic is new weapon, which is the blunderbuss, and it says it is a ranged weapon that offers high mobility coupled with potent close to mid-range damage. It's the first weapon to scale on strength and intelligence, making it a good companion for bruiser or mage builds. That's honestly interesting, that paired with intelligence. I don't really know the logic that was with this, but that's definitely going to bring some interesting builds. So it says there are 2 skill trees, as with every weapon. The containment tree is all about closing the gap and unloading hot lead into your enemy's face. That seems like it's going to be pretty annoying to play against, and it's going to be pretty fun to play with. Really, it's just another alternative to drag people closer to you, or drag yourself closer to them. I don't really know. The next skill tree is the chaos tree, which focuses on keeping your distance, bombarding areas with explosive AoE damage. So it sounds like with this gun you have 2 different playstyles that are completely different. That's honestly very interesting, that you could see someone holding a blunderbuss and you don't really know what what they're trying to do with you until you actually get into a fight with them. I think that adds some depth and mechanics into the actual combat. So alongside this, it seems that there is also going to be a legendary weapon quest for the blunderbuss. It says upon reaching level 60 and the maximum skill level for the new firearm, players should seek out Wang Tengji. I have no clue how to pronounce that, but the quest is in Ebon scale. So the last thing they mentioned is that alongside the storyline conclusion as well as the blunderbuss weapon, there will be new encounters in the wild, impactful balances, changes across a variety of weapons, and a huge swath of bug fixes. This is honestly perfect. It seems like aside from these two, there's going to be more content. It seems that it's going to be open world content, and there's going to be more balances as well as maybe more buffs and nerfs to weapons that need it, and hopefully some very impactful bug fixes that are going to make the game more smoother than it already is. I didn't end up making a February reaction to the update, but I will say that it's been very smooth and I'm very impressed with this past update, and it's at least given me some hope and assurance that these developers could actually get some stuff done and clean up the game. And then they mentioned that there's going to be more information as the PTR releases. This is probably going to be next week or the week after, and we're going to get a lot more information then. I will say this is the first dungeon that's come out after launch. I'm curious as to how the PTR is going to work, although I would be a big fan of, obviously spotting bugs and fixing them. It would kind of kill the hype if the expedition was in the PTR, although I feel like they have to do that. I feel like it might not be the best idea to put the actual expedition into the PTR, but we'll have to see. If it is in the PTR, I'll probably hop on the servers to check it out and probably make videos on it. I'm pretty excited for this update, especially since February update actually cleaned up a lot of the mechanics and the game. It kind of polished it, and now it feels a lot better. It feels like a different game, to be honest with you, although it's still a little rough around the edges on some parts. I think that's going to be addressed, maybe even fixed in March, since they mentioned that they're going to fix a bunch of bugs and have some balances. Hopefully that does improve the game more. And one thing that I'm very cautious about and very nervous is whether this update will introduce game-breaking bugs like it has in the past. The past two updates didn't have terrible bugs, but they were bugs that were kind of in your face, and it was pretty hard to ignore these bugs. So I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that they've learned a lesson and they don't undo everything they've done in February. That is pretty much it for this video. I just want to make a quick video on the new news that came out, and hopefully you guys are excited. I will see you guys in the next one.